Hey listeners, I'm Dan and welcome to my conversation with Colleen. I'm excited to bring you this interview that I've put together with the Queen's Pre-Law Society, which will feature Colleen Moorehead, who is the CCO, Chief Client Officer at law firm Osler CCO Harcourt. Colleen is someone who I personally admire as an exemplary leader in the legal business, and she'll be talking about how Osler is leading the legal industry in innovation and a model of business that reflects their client profile. I really hope you enjoy this interview, so without further ado, here's my conversation with Colleen. And there's a lot I want to cover today that might be useful, but before we get into that, I kind of want to frame it in terms of how I think it could be useful for my members of the club and also in the broader law community at Queen's.
Perfect.
So there are a lot of students who are interested in law that are also interested in business. And so there's a great interest in how is business changing and how is the business of legal services changing.
Right.
And I wanted to really get into that and to really also get into diversity and how that's challenging the legal field and what the state of it is in law.
Okay.
Let's start off with a little bit about you. We can rewind back to Colleen at Wilfrid Laurier, all right, 10 years ago.
Wow, 10 years ago, yes, exactly.
You're doing your BBA in finance, if that's right?
Yep.
Did you see any of this coming? The CCO of Osler, founder and business director of the Judy Project, any of this? Where did you see your career going at that time?
Well, I definitely did not see any of this coming. I think
Right.
one of the things about university is you go and you become well educated, but it doesn't necessarily tell you what your pathway in life is going to be.
Right.
I think it gets you ready, and especially in the legal environment, the legal training and the issue of being able to be articulate is really important. But I would say as a business student, I was just interested in business. I was interested in reading the Globe and Mail.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I spent, as you know, the first bit of my career was in finance.
At CIBC?
At CIBC,
Right.
I was at Merrill Lynch, and then
Right.
Merrill Lynch was actually acquired by CIBC
Right, okay.
in 1990.
Right.
And so I had a long career in first retail, wealth management,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the trading room, and then from there decided to branch out and become an entrepreneur
Right.
and started E-Trade Canada. So,
Right.
but I don't think I knew anything about where I wanted to work, besides I wanted to work with engaged and intelligent people.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So what I want to kind of do is, if we can briefly touch on a couple of your roles before we go into the other things.
Yeah.
So the Judy Project, you
Uh-huh.
are co-founder and business director.
Yep.
Can you talk about why you chose to name it after Judy Elder, the late Judy Elder, Microsoft Canada executive, and a little bit about it as well for those of our viewers who haven't heard about the Judy Project?
Well, first of all, it's named after Judy because she was a remarkable woman, a business leader and a visionary. And she did a speech 3 weeks before she passed away, and she passed away suddenly. And she had been head of Microsoft Canada Online.
Mm-hmm.
Really, she talked a lot about ambition and talked about women putting their hand in the air and being ambitious.
Right.
And I think she described ambition in a way that we could relate to,
Okay.
because it was a real an idea of collective ambition where you can
Right.
be ambitious for your company, you can be ambitious for your leaders, you can be ambitious for the people that work for you, and then you can be ambitious for yourself too. And that was all good. So it was kind of a nobler form.
Right.
And for many women that were in the room that day, it really resonated. And then she passed 3 weeks later, and we all kind of went like, wow,
Right.
gee. So when we
Yeah.
decided, and myself and another woman, Lorna Bornstein, when we decided that we wanted to try to make something of this, we talked to, of course, David Powell, her husband, and the Rotman School of Business.
Right.
And then we went out and found some money and interest with Canadian corporates.
Entrepreneurial mindset there.
Mindset, yes,
Yeah.
very entrepreneurial mindset.
Right.
And so we started it in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
It runs once a year. It is a leadership program for women who are 3 to 5 years from C-suite.
Okay.
So it's all about their leadership skills.
Right.
So it is all about what's your network look like. I think many times we try to correct the things in us that isn't perfect versus really relying on the things in us which are really strong. And so it spends some time on that best self.
Right.
It spends some time on understanding unconscious bias, whether it's your own unconscious bias or the bias that others may exhibit and how to navigate around it. So it spends some time on that. And then you leave with a peer group of 30 women who you will have an ongoing relationship with for the balance of your career. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we'll get a little back to that again later and to your book as well. But I'd like to go to your role of CCO at Osler.
Yeah.
So Chief Client Officer, you've been here for almost 10 years now, is that right?
Well, it's coming on 8.
8 years.
Which is a long time for me.
Right.
But I have really loved it.
Okay.
It was a new role for the firm.
Right.
And it came after the 2008 financial crisis.
Interesting, okay.
And I think it was to focus our organization more directly on being a great client organization.
So how does your role as CCO interact with the professional legal services side of it? Do you work with people in legal services all the time?
I do. So my role is really to focus on the client strategy.
Right.
We have brilliant lawyers, whether they are associates or partners in our organization, and they touch very large clients. I mean, Osler is a preeminent business law organization, so it means our clients are large. And in today's world of large clients, they have needs that mean we have to be very integrated in the way we work with them. Right. And whether that is our service team, whether that is our pricing, whether that is our reporting, or whether that is our client listening, where we actually go to our clients and say, how are we doing? Those are all really important elements to sew together on behalf of the partnership.
Right, so you kind of mentioned that there are teams you oversee, marketing teams, business development, pricing you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
How have those teams changed in the time that you've been here? And can you talk about why they've changed as well?
I think the industry has gotten more sophisticated.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And just like every business has. So the ability to use tools better, the ability to understand what the client's needs are. All of our clients, time is of the essence. Business practical.
Right.
Nobody needs a 14-page memo when a 2-page will do.
Right.
So being able to be very close to understanding what the client's needs are, and if it is a large corporate client in this area, say in our employment group, their needs and in the way they wish to be communicated with will be the same as some of our other areas as well. So being able to sort of help the organization and the partnership meet our clients' needs in the way that the client wants to be served, that's the perfect thing.
Right, so talking about the needs of the client and that sort of thing, is there a unique value proposition, for example, that Osler can say, this is what our teams have developed here and this is why we are separate from other firms on Bay Street?
Well, of course, I think Osler's unique and special. I can't be the chief client officer and not think that.
Right.
But you know what? I think for our organization, we see ourselves as one Osler. So that means if you're a client, we're going to find the right person in our broader organization to service your needs, and you can expect a level of consistency to that product. I think we've been industry leading in lots of things.
Right.
Our client reporting tools, for instance, we have a dashboard that we provide for our clients, which tells the GC what are the important files, what are the groups and people that you're working with, We report the value add services that we provide them. We provide pricing.
Right.
But on this 2-page document, they can see everything from how we've staffed the files on a gender basis to how the average price has been on the teams that we've put over the years, to where is your spend. And our clients are businesses. They think in a business way. So not only must we always provide excellence in our legal opinions, we also have to provide excellence in the service that we wrap around our legal opinions.
Right. Now you mentioned the dashboard and other things. Do those things leverage any new technologies or any innovative products that make your service more efficient?
I think we're always I think one of the great things is we have a chief innovation officer who is a partner in the firm, thinking about how to provide innovative services. We have a customer segment, which in its very name, the emerging and high growth industry customer is dragging us forward in terms of technology, because they're the companies making it.
So you're very involved in the Toronto tech industry that's booming, and
and that teaches us. That teaches us the speed of the speed of the market. And then I think we made a very significant investment in a client information system that helps us stay informed to serve our clients. So it's not a disparate thing where you could expect that this lawyer would have a different service offer than this lawyer, because we've made that seamless.
Right. So I want to transition to the lawyer side of it. The day-to-day practice of a lawyer. Has that changed much with all of these changes in how your business is run and how things are priced? And for example, they have the dashboard now, so they can kind of see all their information in one spot, or...
So I think what hasn't changed is the excellence in law. I think people come here because they want to be with other smart, collaborative people. So people choose a law firm. And when I think of our recruitment brand, as we look at the universities, is very important to us. Because people, all of you want to be in organizations that are moving at the same speed you're moving. And so whether it's the way we use the tools, associates and partners, the way we have things like using new technologies, like we're using, we have I'll call it, this won't make any sense to you, but Intel had a very speedy chip. And by having that, and so when people bought computers, they would have a logo on it saying Intel inside. And what it really meant is the fast chip was inside. And so all we're doing is we're trying to make sure that we our lawyers are able to use the best tools. Because smarter, faster, better, right? And so we have a brand called Osler Works, which has under it, our transactional services, our discovery services, but that is just implementing technologies to serve our clients faster.
So when I switch to thinking about what change is happening with diversity in the legal industry, lots of people in my generation are thinking of looking at places to work, and they're saying, what's a good place to work for me? So I'd like to kind of ask you about what the status of diversity in law is here. Are there lots of women in the partnership track, or are there lots of law students who are from a diverse background?
Yes and yes, of course. I think we have a mind to ensuring that we are going to represent our clients, and our clients are diverse. So I think it makes complete sense to me that we want to look like our clients look, and that is diverse. But you don't get to any goal without measuring it, without having strategies to retain women, to think about being like, we have, I think, 4 different affinity groups inside Osler so that everybody can find affinity with others. So I think, culturally we were always there.
Right.
But I think wanting to achieve your goals, like, whether our leadership is 30% female, whether our, when we look at our number of associates when we're intaking is diverse, you get what you measure.
Right.
And I think for us, we measure it in so many places now that we know that we're making the right choices.
So I want to reference something that happened in the news in the past year.
Yeah.
Paul Weiss had a tweet, I know you heard about this, where they had a new partnership wave that they announced, and they had pictures of everybody in partnership. And there were 12 new partners.
Yeah.
11 of them were male, and one of them was a woman, and they were all white. And there was an article in the New York Times saying, this is obviously a huge mistake by them to do
Well,
this.
it's not a very good marketing.
Right.
So, again, you want to always have merit drive your outcomes.
Okay.
But you will be able to make good choices if you make sure all the way along you have diverse organizations at every point in the firm.
So to piggyback on that, how do you ensure that you have that diversity? Is it a pipeline problem where you have to make sure that everybody coming in, you have a diverse pool of applicants? Or is it is quotas the strategy? Or is it
No, I
target?
don't think it's quotas.
Right.
Make sure you have a diverse set of applicants coming in, but
Right.
it's not just having them come in. Remember, it's recruitment, retention, promotion,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
No good diversity strategy doesn't include all of those pieces.
Right.
So yeah, you know what? You can have a mind for making sure that your slates are diverse. You know what I mean? You can make sure your slates are diverse. But if you do all the work ahead, then you can make great choices.
Right.
And that's in recruitment, that's in retention, through your retention strategies, and that's in your promotion strategies.
Right.
Because you don't want to be that person.
Right.
You don't want to have that be something that shows up, because it probably, I can't comment on.
So I want to bring it back to, we're talking about the Judy Project, and you have this book that you edited called The Collective Wisdom of High Performing Women.
Yeah.
And in it, you mentioned that there are certain characteristics that sometimes are common from women in leadership, like compassion and that sort of thing, which add a lot of value to the workplace that they're leaders in. Can you talk about how you've tried to exemplify this in your own life, and how much value that can bring to an organization?
So, I think, the book is about value-based leaders, and the stories and the lens is told from women, but those value-based leadership characteristics are important in all of our leaders today. So men and women.
Right.
And I think when I think of those characteristics, we won't retain millennials unless we demonstrate those characteristics in both our men and our women.
So
right?
you do see a very generational divide in that sense, is that
I
right?
do. You can even look more broadly at how the young people are bringing climate change issues forward, right?
Recent election, you can see that.
Sustainability. This is a young, alert group of people coming behind us, and they are teaching older people that a social conscience is an important piece. If they thought for any reason it wasn't before now.
Right. So I'd like to go back to your career a little bit, from the perspective of high-performing women.
Yeah.
Right? One being yourself, one of them.
I don't know.
Can you talk about what are some challenges that you maybe faced in your own career coming up and achieving what you have?
I think there's no one who doesn't have challenges in their career.
Right.
Like men or women. You know, I think of, I'm a mother of 2 boys, right? They don't go skating through life free, right? We all have challenges, but I think earlier on, like, and when I say because I speak from my advanced age, I think when I was younger, it would have been harder for me to have asserted myself or been heard.
Right.
Right? The other thing is that confidence, whether you're a man or a woman, is something that grows over time. So when I was younger, I might have been less confident and less willing to either call out for something I thought was inappropriate or to put my hand in the air as easily. And so one of the things that I think one of the reasons why we felt the book was important is we want our young people to be able to look through storytelling, through the storytelling lens, and pull learnings out so they can be more confident earlier.
Right.
And again, both men and women.
So what are some lessons you might have for somebody in my position who's interested in a career in law or business?
Well, you will be successful in whichever one you choose.
Being in my undergraduate degree right now.
Yeah.
Is there any advice you might have in terms of developing that confidence or developing these skills that have helped you to be successful?
So I do think, I've always said this when anybody says, well, what's the one thing you can do? I think being competent is the first thing.
Right.
Right? And then the second thing is putting your hand in the air. So the idea of being the person that says, yeah, I can do that, or I'd love to help you with that, that is a wonderful thing. And everybody can help in their own way. You know, you don't have to put your hand in the air to run the project. You can be part of the project. But people notice people who are active and interested and positive.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest things people can do is just put themselves in harm's way around assignments. All of us, have got way too many things to do.
Right.
But eking out that little bit of extra time to contribute is something that's, I think, fantastic.
Right. Okay. Going back to skills that are valuable for people in my position. In a changing environment, we've talked about how technology is changing and how lawyers need to become more business savvy. Are there skills in that area where you see a lot of value in developing those early on?
Well, I think younger people are, by their very nature, more technical.
Right.
Right? But I think it's a great thing to bring your technology skills into the job. So I'll give you an example. People never, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, were never trained on how to use Excel. But Excel is just kind of one of the ways that you look at things these days, right? So I think some of those technical skills are very important.
Right.
The other thing is I don't think it's ever too early to develop what I'll say leadership skills. And that's, that is anything from, you just sending me an email and saying, I'm going to be in town, I want to do this. Would you participate, right?
Right.
That is really just thinking about, I think I'd like to, this project, I'd like to do this project and ask. And then the other thing I think is today it's easier than it used to be to intake some of the best leadership ideas. So I always encourage people, whether it's podcasts or audiobooks, pick a few that you've kind of always got on the go, and it helps you stay in tune. And there's so many, I think the tough part is picking which ones when you got other things to do.
A lot of content there right now.
But think about what I'll say is the client management skills, the the engagement skills.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much you have to learn as a lawyer that may seem like enough, but the powers of persuasion, the powers of listening, all of those are extremely helpful.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think that's everything that I wanted to cover.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that you want to add to what we're talking about here, or advice, any advice you have extra?
I don't think I have any extra advice.
Right.
I think Queen's is a remarkable law school.
Right.
We have the Sigerson Chair is at Queen's, and so I think they graduate fantastic students. So you're in the right spot.
Okay, right. Good to know. Well, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule and for having us in your office. And again, to reiterate, you have your book out now, edited, The Collective Wisdom of High-Performing Women, part of the Judy Project.
It's on Amazon, it's on Indigo, it's on audiobooks.
Right.
And it's on Amazon Canada and the US.
Okay.
And
so it's out there. People
it's
can
out
pick
there.
it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Once again, a thank you to everybody who's been listening and stuck through to the end. And one final note to wrap up before we go. For QPLS members, please don't forget to sign up for our annual conference. And for everybody else, I was super glad to have you listening and encourage you to check out Colleen's new book, The Collective Wisdom of High-Performing Women, which is available both on Indigo and Amazon. I also encourage you to go to osler.com and see more about what that firm is all about. Bye.